So we're given three sets here: nurses, men, and women. So three groups. And we're going to draw a Venn diagram that represents the relationship between among these three groups. So let's look at the different possibilities here, and let's see what's wrong with some of them. When I give a problem like this for homework, I see different types of responses. So we'll examine each one of them and see what's right and what's wrong about these Venn diagrams. So for simplicity, we'll assume that a person will either identify himself or herself as a man or a woman. So let's look at the first Venn diagram. So we're looking at the set, the entire circle, the green circle is man, is the set of all men, and the entire red circle is the set of all women. Okay. Now, Venn diagrams are explained based on the regions. So what are the regions? What do I mean by regions? There's the green region, the blue region, and the overlap, which is yellow. Notice that the green region completely avoids the overlap. The blue region completely avoids the overlap as well. So let's see what exactly this Venn diagram is telling us. There is an overlap between the two sets of men and women, and the way the overlap is described is a region where people are both men and women, right? And then we've labeled that with N, which is telling us this is the same as people who are nurses. So basically, the conclusion that we draw from this Venn diagram is nurses are people who are both men and women, right? And that doesn't sound right. So remember, we said it's either men, a person identifies himself or herself as either a man or a woman, but not both. So basically, even having that overlap is incorrect. So that one is completely wrong. Let's just go to the next one. Let's look at B. So here we have the full circle of men, the full circle of women. Okay, and all the regions in this Venn diagram are shaded in different colors. So we start off with, since we said the men and women circles do not overlap, so that looks fine. And then we've drawn this set in the middle, which overlaps with both the men and the women, and that we've called nurses. But then now we have to explain each of these regions. The yellow region is women, but not nurses. So they're women who are not nurses. The orange region or the tan region is men who are not nurses. So that makes sense. So there are men who are not nurses. The blue region is people who are both, it's an overlap, so that would be men and nurses. So they are male nurses. That makes sense as well. The pink region is women and nurses because it sits in the overlap. So that is female nurses. And then there's this gray area. It's like a no man's land. So if there is a person sitting there, you would describe them as definitely a nurse because this person is sitting in the nurses set. However, not man, not woman. So there's a slight flaw in this Venn diagram because this region is not making sense right now. So we need to avoid a region that cannot be explained. So let's go to the next one. So this has a slight flaw, right? So that's incorrect. It was almost right up to the point when we went to that gray area, which was the no man's land. Now let's look at the next one. Now we are trying to make sure in the next diagram that there are no such gaps or spaces where we cannot explain what that means. So here we have the green triangle, which is the set of all men, the yellow triangle, which is the set of all women, and they do not overlap, right? There's a strict line between the two. And then we've made sure that the nurses circle sits right here in the middle and overlapping both regions. So that makes sense also. So a person sitting in, let's say, this pink area is a person that is a nurse and male. So that's a male nurse. In this striped area, that would be a female nurse because that person is a woman and a nurse because it's in yellow and also in the nurses circle. Next, this outside the nurses circle, these are women, not nurses, so that's fine. And then this green area, which is men who are not nurses. So every region here makes sense.